Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Vanachari Yamuna Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Vanachari Yamuna Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Vanachari Yamuna Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai, Shri Kishore Kishore ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 7, Chapter 15, Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, Text 53. You will see this is a very complex or technical verse, very esoteric instructions. But then Srila Prabhupada would clarify and simplify everything. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Indriyani Manasyormo Vachi Vaikarikam Manaha Avachambarna Samam Naye Tam Omkareswari Nyasit Omkaram Bindo Nadetam Tam Tu Prane Mahatyamum. Indriyani, these senses, acting and knowledge gathering. Manasi, in the mind. Urmo, in the waves of acceptance and rejection. Sorry. Vachi, in the words. Vaikarikam, infected by changes. Manaha, the mind. Vacham, the words. Varnasamam nahi, in the aggregate of all alphabets. Tam, that aggregate of all alphabets. Omkare, in the concise form of Omkara. Sware, in the vibration. Nyasit, one should give up. Omkaram, the concise sound vibration. Bindau, in the point of Omkara. Nadi, in the sound vibration. Tam, that. Tam, that. Sound vibration. To, indeed. Prane, in the life air. Mahati, unto the Supreme. Amum, the living entity. Translation. The mind is always agitated by waves of acceptance and rejection. Therefore, all the activities of the senses should be offered into the mind. We should be offered into one's words. Then one's words should be offered into the aggregate of all alphabets. We should be offered into the concise form Omkara. Omkara should be offered into the point Bindu. Bindu into the vibration of sound. And that vibration into the life air. Then the living entity, who is all that remains, should be placed in Brahman, the Supreme. This is the process of sacrifice. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The mind is always agitated by acceptance and rejection, which are compared to mental waves that are constantly tossing. The living entity is floating in the waves of material existence because of his forgetfulness. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has therefore sung in his Gita Vali, Miche Mayar Vase Yacha Bhishe Kacha Habudubu Bai. My dear mind, under the influence of Maya, you are being carried away by the waves of rejection and acceptance. Simply take shelter of Krishna. Unquote. Jiv Krishna Das e Vishwas Karleta ar Dukhanai. If we simply regard the lotus feet of Krishna as our ultimate shelter, we shall be saved from all these waves of Maya, which are variously exhibited as mental and sensual activities, and the agitation of rejection and acceptance. Krishna instructs in Bhagavad Gita 18:66, Sarvadharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma sucha. Quote, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. Unquote. Therefore, if we simply place ourselves at the lotus feet of Krishna by taking to Krishna consciousness and keeping always in touch with him by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we need not take much trouble in arranging to return to the spiritual world. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is very easy. Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama eva kevalam kalu nashteva 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 gatiranyatha. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurumritamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namam Vishwabadaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Shivadi Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishishya Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshadarine Vanshakal Padru Visyakri Pasindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Here, obviously, it's the process presented by Narada Muni. It's quite complex, quite alien to our experience. In fact, Srila Prabhupada basically it describes it as much trouble. He says, we need not take much trouble, which apparently seems to refer to this process. A process so complicated that it's even hard to understand what exactly one is supposed to do. Now, sometimes you may have something very difficult to do, right? But at least you can explain what you are supposed to do. But here it's almost, it's very hard to understand what you're supposed to do and how you do that. You have to take the, first of all, you offer all the activities of the mind, all the senses, both knowledge acquiring and active senses. You offered it to the mind. How you do that, I don't know. It seems to become inactive. Then the mind should be offered into one's words, which, again, I'm not sure, because if you see part of the words, see, you produce words with your tongue, which is one of the active senses, karmendriyas. But so you already offer that into your mind, and how you offer your mind into your words? I don't know. So don't ask me questions on that, please. Then you take all these words and you offer into the aggregate of all alphabets. I don't know what all alphabets means, just a Sanskrit alphabet or all the alphabets, or I'm not sure really what it means and how you do that, how you use the word. Basically, in practice, means that you make a kind of an opposite process, no? From externalization to internalization. And I believe these words means, it may mean also not words in the sense just the sound of words, but the words are all the concepts, no? All the names one accumulates in this experience, no? All names, no? Chicago, no? All these names which are connected with emotion and other ideas and things. So you merge the words into their ingredients, the sounds, the alphabets. In English is A, B, C. In Sanskrit is ka, ka, ga, ga, like that. But basically you do inversely. No? Instead of forming words, you take the words and you merge them into the alphabet. And then what you do, you take all these alphabets, all these sounds, all the range of sounds, and then you merge them, you offer them into Omkara. So this is really what we say, simple living, high thinking, because you simplify everything, into, and then you take the Omkara and you offer into the Bindu point. The Bindu point is the dot which is at the top of Omkara. And then you take the Bindu point into the vibration of sound, and the vibration of sound into the prana, life here. And then the living entity, which is all that remains after this simplification, then you offer to place into Brahman, and that's the process of sacrifice. Obviously, this is not a process that our modern acharyas really promoted. And in fact, you'll see the next verse says that part of the process is that you got to enter the different worlds of fire, sun, the day, the end of the day, and so on and so forth, the full moon. And then you get to Brahmaloka, where you enjoy life for many millions of years, and then material designation comes to it. So it's not really our process. Even, frankly speaking, geographically, we're not working to go to Brahmaloka. Srila Prabhupada explains in the Krishna book that when the soul is perfected or ready, at the time of death, the soul gets transferred on a material planet where Krishna is performing his pastimes. So he gets the chance to associate with Krishna in person. It's like a rehearsal before moving to the spiritual world, to Goloka Vrindavan. So that's more our process. But Srila Prabhupada basically summarized the whole thing in basically saying, chant Hare Krishna. Which we should not take it, because something is simple, we shouldn't take it as cheap or less valuable. It's a very important point, this. We should not think because something is simpler, it means has less value. Like for instance, you want to go to India, what's the simplest way? You go by airplane, right? Now we shouldn't think that, but that's too simple, You just buy the ticket, check in, you sit on a reclinable seat, and then you're in India. It's too simple. No, it's the best way. It's simple, but it's also the best way. Not that because, I had to walk all the way across America, then I take a boat, and then I cross the ocean. That's the best way. No, that's not the best way. Srila Prabhupada did that because, he didn't walk, but he took the boat because he didn't have a means to take an airplane. Otherwise, he would have taken happily an airplane. But Krishna wanted to glorify his pure devotee. He wanted to leave us a testimony of sacrifice, of abnegation. And so he took the boat, but not that he wanted to stay more than a month on a boat. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, therefore, if we simply place ourselves at the lotus feet of Krishna by taking to Krishna consciousness and keeping always in touch with him by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we need not take much trouble in merging the alphabets and all that. Okay. So, think this should be clear. Now, a few words about this concept. The mind is always agitated by acceptance and rejection. There are these 5 major contaminations: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. This is explained in the It's explained in the 3rd canto. When the creation was put into motion, the soul gets trapped by these five things. First of all, avidya, losing the knowledge, become ignorant. So you lose touch with reality. Then asmita is the concept of self, false concept of self. We think we are the body. Then raga, dvesha, which always generally are described together. Raga, we like certain things. Dvesha, we hate some other things. But based on what? Based on the body. What gives pleasure to the body? What's helpful in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And then abhinivesha, which is the absorption in material life. One becomes almost embedded in prakriti, embedded in material life. And the Bhagavatam explains that by that absorption, we become fearful. Because when you're absorbed in prakriti and overchange in prakriti, then you have to be fearful, because anything can go wrong at any moment. And anything can cause you pain. Anything. Any news can cause you pain. And there are so many things that can go wrong. Raga, dvesha. We desire certain things, we like certain things, and we dislike certain things. And sports is probably the very good representation of that. Because we like a team, and we dislike them to lose. And some people may say, no, I will only enjoy when they win, but I will be detached when they lose. It's not possible. If you enjoy when they win, you will suffer when they lose. You can just take half. Once, some people, recently I was reading an article, they made a study of the face of people when they watch soccer matches. Soccer or football if you come from Europe, but soccer. Okay, everybody understands soccer. So they made a video of the people, and they say that 90% of the time during the match, they have expression of pain, anxiety. No? Because sometimes they get the goal, I mean, the other team scores a goal, or they don't score a goal. And then, again, 1%, 3% of the time, when they score the goal, like that. And I think this is especially relevant in Chicago, because I hear that the Chicago Cubs, right? They never win anything. Huh? Yeah, I don't follow, that's baseball, right? I don't follow baseball, but I mean, even in Italy and India, this is like a legend that I think last time they won anything was in Dwapara Yuga. I think it was the advent of Kali Yuga that affected them. But anyway, what is that? So anyway, this is just one example. See, Karl Marx said that the religion is the opiate of the people. Opiate? Opium? Opium? He said opium? Opium. You know opium? Opium is a type of drug that really kind of makes you completely indifferent to anything else. It almost, what do you call, what do you call the medicine you put it almost, yeah, you anesthetizes you. It anesthetizes you. So basically, Karl Marx said, when people are into religion, they don't think about social issue, economy, class struggle, because they're into religion. They go to church, oh God, like that. One devotee actually they said, actually religion is not the opium of people, it's sports that's the opium of people. Because people absorb in sports. And then due to the absorption of sports, they don't think about social issue, economy. And you have so many sports. Maya gives so many sports. Some people are in soccer, people basketball, baseball. In India are into cricket, and so many sports. Sometimes local sports that nobody plays, only the locally. I'm just saying, and people are absorbed in raga and dvesha, acceptance and rejection. And the mind, these are considered to be waves, tossing the mind. Tossing the mind because they are agitate the mind. They agitate the mind. Just like this microphone. So the mind is agitated because we consider something is good, something is bad. And this is from the beginning of creation. There's that verse in Bhagavad Gita. What's that verse? Icha dvesha. Icha dvesha. From the beginning, we are tossed about in our mind, Icha and Dvesha, which is the same thing. Icha means desire, Raga means attraction, but this is basically the same thing. Icha means desiring something, and Raga means being attracted to something, and therefore, by extension, means to desire that something. Dvesha, repulsion, hatred, rejection. I like this, I don't like that. And therefore, just like we saw this process of going back, simplify, the process of tapasya is essential because tapasya is the opposite of raga and dvesha. Tapasya means we do things which in general, in normal circumstances, we wouldn't do, things we don't like. Let's say getting up in the morning. Generally, unless somebody is super sattvic, something that we don't like. I mean, it's still dark, still the night. Now, when you tell people what time you get up, oh, we're going to get up at 3:34 in the morning. But they say, that's not morning, that's night, right? In fact, when you go outside at that time, there's nobody outside. So, we accept things that we rather not accept in normal circumstances. Like fasting, Ekadasi. Yes, there was Ekadasi. Of course, here there's so much prasada, you don't feel Ekadasi, at least I didn't feel. But in normal circumstances, some people like bread. In India, sometimes they really like rice. Even one day makes a difference, right? For many people, even one day without rice, it's a major thing. Some, even in the Madhvas, for instance, what the Madhva families, what they do, I'm not saying the sannyasis, but the Madhva families, they don't eat rice, but they eat chapati during Ekadasi. They have a different definition. But again, just to avoid rice, for some people, it's an austerity. And for Italians, maybe avoiding pasta for one day or something. So you don't do things that you normally do, and you do things that normally you wouldn't do. Like chanting Hare Krishna or book distribution, like that. Things like there is some effort. There's some effort. Things that the mind wouldn't really like automatically, but because the guru says, no, you got to do these things if you want to advance, then you do it. So tapasya is what gradually reverses or neutralizes the contamination of raga and vesha. And the mind, this mind is very powerful. It's very powerful and also very tricky. Why is it also very tricky? Because the mind is very complex. See, the mind is like a screen. And as a screen, it gets things from outside. You see things, you smell things, you see forms, you hear sounds. So everything goes into the mind. And it gets things from inside. Memories, emotions, thoughts. Sometimes thoughts are not so logical. Sometimes we say, no, we are in denial. We create rationalizations of why we should do this or we should do that or why I was right. So the mind is like, that's why Srila Prabhupada explained Bhagavad Gita, the mind is the center of the yoga system. You control the mind, you control everything. Don't control the mind, you don't control anything. Because like it's a screen where everything goes. And always, this has been studied by research, always what you get from outside and you get from inside is mixed. So you don't see outside as it is. You see according to your prejudice, according to your experience, according to your raga and vesha. The same thing seen by different people is seen in different ways. Like you see a wood, what do you call a forest. Somebody see a forest, he thinks, this is a good place to bring my girlfriend. A businessman thinks, this is a forest, I could cut all the trees and make a lot of money. For an environmentalist, oh, this is a forest, I should chain myself to some trees so they don't cut it. It's the same forest, but everybody has got different emotions. Emotions are very strong because emotions are below the thought, the rational thought. And so they're very strong, and we don't know where they come from. Some deep subconscious, some deep samskara, deep impressions. And so there's really no alternative than to accept the guru and follow the discipline, which is the meaning of becoming disciple. And fortunately, in this age, the system is quite simple. Basically, it's very simple. Controlling the senses, at least don't you avoid sinful activities. Then you eat only prashadam, then you chant the holy names all day, but at least 16 rounds. And then you try to nourish the mind with the Bhagavatam, with intellect, start thinking like that. So eventually you start seeing through the Bhagavatam. And then you serve the Lord, do a honest life. If you have a job, take an honest occupation. Then chant Hare Krishna. Then you go to sleep. Next day you chant Hare Krishna again. The next day you chant Hare Krishna again. And repeat until you die. So the process is quite simple. But it takes a little bit of effort to keep the mind in the process. The mind wants to go here and there. He said, no, you stay in the process, don't worry. But, no, don't worry, just stay in the process. But, no, don't stay in the process. The famous 100, what Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, hit one was the broomstick, one is the shoe. I don't remember which one was the morning and the evening. shoe in the morning and broomstick in the night. But I guess it's more or less the same. So in the morning, we shoe, bam, bam, which people should understand. It's not a self-flagellation like the monks in the Middle Age. Not that. But it's more like, okay, you stay on the process. Don't worry. Stay on the process. We are on track. Don't worry. We have the GPS. Don't worry. You're on track. Don't. But no. Don't worry. Stay. Then in the night, because maybe I don't know the night before going to sleep on things. But no. Stay on the process. Go to sleep. Get up tomorrow morning. Like that. So, any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your class. My question is related to the Hiranyakashipu's Hiranyakashipu, his austerities.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed that I find very funny is that his name means one who loves money and women, basically. But he could perform austerity of celibacy, standing on his toes, so many difficult austerities. But there was one austerity he couldn't perform, which was respecting his son who disagreed with him. So I found that very funny. And when it comes how this relates to us, my question is basically is that like Akadashi was yesterday, and then there's difficult Akadashis like Nirjal or chanting 64 rounds. And these activities, of course, are the Yuga Dharma, especially Hare Krishna. But it appears that they can increase one's false ego because, like Hiranyakashipu, he couldn't respect somebody who didn't respect them. So my question is basically is that how do we develop a taste for forgiving others, apologize. This is all austerity. This is one of the greatest ones.
Yeah.
Forgiving, respecting someone who doesn't respect us. And we'll rather chant Hare Krishna a million times than apologize. It seems like that's the most difficult austerity. So how does one develop a taste for those bratas, those austerities?
Yeah. In one sense, you don't develop taste for austerity because austerity means tapasya, means pain. So by definition, tapasya is something you don't like. But you can develop the desire, you can develop the sense of importance, the sense of priority, you can develop the will. You may not develop the taste, because if you develop the taste, it's not an austerity anymore. Almost by definition. No? Almost by definition. It's like being a vegetarian. I don't think for any or most of us is an austerity, right? I mean, it's not like, I will not eat meat today. No, we don't think like that. Maximum, I won't eat too many sweets, like that. But generally, so it moves to that different category, a lifestyle, we could say. But what you said is very profound. Yes, sometimes we will be willing to perform penances, which are either physically or mentally taxing, but sometimes the ego tapasya is even more taxing. The ego, because you can put your ego into, say, okay, I get up at 2 o'clock every day. I'm not saying that those who wake up at 2 because they have a big ego. I'm just saying you can but you can use your ego, for that. But how do you use ego to? The trick probably is to use the ego. I'll show that I can forgive, I can apologize. At least, like Srila Prabhupada told the disciple, you are Americans, do something big. Otherwise, what's the use of being American? In other words, use that American ego to do something big. Obviously, he was teaching, the main teaching, you're not American, you're not Indian, you're not Russian. Obviously, that was it. But you got that ego, at least use it for Krishna. You're American, do something big. And that was what's the point. So, probably one should trick his mind and say, I'll show that I can apologize. I can forgive. But one needs to see the importance. That's where rational thought comes. Intelligence. That's the function of the intelligence, to be nourished by knowledge, and so then force the mind. like, okay, half-day fasting, you think, maybe you didn't know. Oh, okay, breakfast time, great. Then you say, no, it's fast. Okay, don't do it. It's not that you don't have appetite, but, knowledge, the intelligence says, don't do it. Because we don't do it. We don't do it, Haribo. Don't put too much. So, yes, you need to see the value for your own life, for your own growth, for your own well-being. It's a fact. Sometimes this quote-unquote simple orientation is what makes a lot of difference. So, like, for instance, there are studies that show the gratitude, just thinking gratefully, is good for health, is good for sense of satisfaction, and it's just a shift. It's just a shift, internal shift. Instead of thinking, what am I missing? What am I lacking? Huh? Or what people didn't do that they were supposed to do. Okay? Instead of thinking that, you just shift. Like, you say, oh, what people did for me that actually improved my life, improved my experience. Oh, there are people who are cooking, and there are people who are serving, there are people who are cleaning, and there are people who worship the deities, and people cleaning the temple, and I can walk in the temple, it's clean. And then it's like, what can they be grateful for? Instead of saying, oh, it's cold. Cold, but South Pole is much more cold. And there are many places which are worse. And like that, train the mind to be grateful. Train the mind. Because the mind is like a dog. You got to train. No? You got to train the dog. And the dog can be trained. And then it becomes second nature. So these are some, I don't know if this has any help. But like you said, austerity can also be done, just like in Hiranyakashipu, just the motivation is, what do you call it, bigger enjoyment later. It's not a devotional austerity. So maybe the austerity is even harder, but the mood is not devotional, it's not spiritual. Just like people do all sorts of austerities, we know. People do all sorts of austerity. They get up in the morning, they catch a flight, they catch a bus, they go to school. That's not a devotional austerity because they want to improve themselves, be able to one day make money or making more money, like that. So the motivation is not spiritual, so it doesn't count as doesn't count as spiritual, devotional tapasya. It counts as tapasya because obviously it makes their mind stronger, right? No, but it's not the devotional thing. Okay, does it give you something else? We have time for one more question, I guess, if there is any.
Thank you for your analytical presentation. You broke everything down, and it makes sense, because
I'm an expert in breakdowns.
Prabhupada said they were following the rules and regulations with not knowing why, niyamograha, but like the Catholic Church, they don't know why they're following these certain things. Another thing is, I remember Vaisheshika was saying gratitude, what you were talking about. He said Krishna consciousness is a yoga of gratitude. So I thought that was a nice way to put things, And then we see things as we are, not as they are. So due to our conditioning, and then it's all up to what you value. So your value systems change according to your intelligence. And devotees were saying, we were talking about Chaitya Guru, the Lord within the heart, saying, well, why do we have to work so hard on book distribution when, a lot of us came here that we were looking for something like that. And some people, they could care less about going back to Godhead or any of these kind of things. So, but then Prabhupada said the devotees are kinder than Krishna. make the extra effort. And then as far as material happiness goes, it said that it's not without interruption.
Pardon?
It's not without interruption.
Material happiness.
Yeah, Lakshmi Moni was talking about material happiness yesterday, but I always read that it was not without interruption. So it's the happiness and the stress are coming and going like the winter and summer seasons. One has to learn to tolerate. And it's also very flickering. Oh, and then one thing I noticed, Prabhupada says, this movement is going on due to my intelligence and your cooperation. So, in the beginning, devotees had no real knowledge of a lot of these things, but due to cooperation with Srila Prabhupada's intelligence, things became manifest. If you have a higher taste, you can give up the lower taste. And then doubt is a sign of intelligence, not that we have blind faith, but, understand why we're doing things. Of course, now we say in the beginning, Krishna consciousness is like poison, but at the end it's like nectar. Then you were saying about, being an American or being this or that. I remember I was going through the airport in, I think it was Thailand or something, and they were giving us a hard time, and I was with Basha Ghosh, and he says, you got to walk and behave like an American. But then, the philosophy, we're not Americans, It was
Who
just
was saying?
Basha Ghosh.
What he said, I can catch.
We were in the airport, and they were giving us a hard time about our baggage and this and that, and they says, no, you have to be more demanding. You have to be like an American.
Okay.
So I was, but that's not our philosophy, So it was kind of funny, But we did have a lot of difficulty there. Anyways, those are a few things that just came to mind. Oh, and then...
Thank you. It's a series of very rich reflections.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay, we'll take the last point because time is running out.
You were mentioning that we take austerities, but we may not have a devotional mood. Like for materialists, they may take austerities and they don't have any devotional mood. But then when I look at myself, I take many austerities, but then there could be a mixture, mixture.
Mixture.
It's not fully pure or devotional at a practicing stage. So how to work towards reducing that mixture to be fully devotional and pure?
Okay. So, see, tapasya, austerity, tapasya is what really is the. It's a problem. We go for 5 minutes. On? No, it's not a problem. No, it's not. Okay. See, tapasya is the beginning of the universe. In Brahma Samhita, the Lord says to Brahma, tapastvam tapa etena tava siddhir bhavishyati. Tapastvam, perform tapasya. In fact, that was the initiation, not tapa. Tapastvam, tapa etena, by this tapas, tava siddhir bhavishyati. Because through this tapasya, your siddhi, your perfection will be manifested. Now, tapasya is an instrument. And like Gandhi did tapasya to free India, which is a mundane goal. And it is questionable if India was better under the British than now. I mean, we could discuss. So, anyway, he performed tapasya, and it's because it's brahmacharya, I mean, in his own way, but this brahmacharya made him powerful, made him strict, and so on. So tapasya always has some result. Now, why devotees do tapasya? They do tapasya because they want to have the freedom of serving the Lord with as less interference, disturbance as possible. Just like the regulative principles are called the principles of freedom. It may take some effort in following them, but then when you follow them, then you're free. You see, people sometimes are slaves to cigarettes, right? It's a slavery. You had to reach your pocket. And you know that it's bad for your health because it's written everywhere. I mean, so you feel guilty, right? Plus, it costs a lot of money. I don't know how much it costs, but how much a pack of cigarettes? $10, one pack. No, really? And one cigarette, how much it costs? 50 cents. But that's 33 rupees. In India, you can buy a meal for more than $10. Much. Anyway, so it costs money. So one obviously is a slave, and obviously doesn't give much satisfaction. It's not something that makes you happy. Okay, so by doing austerities, we save time and energy to serve Krishna. The goal is not the austerity. In fact, Narada Muni, there is this famous verse which I never learned nicely, but some of you know that verse says, what's the point of performing austerity if you have bhakti? And then it says, what's the point of performing austerity if you don't have bhakti? You know that verse? Will you remember? I never learned. Yeah. Tapasakim, it's like rhetorical questions. It's a series of rhetorical questions. What's the point of performing tapasya if you don't have bhakti? And what's the point of performing tapasya if you have bhakti? In other words, I mean, it looks like it's a paradox. Then you can never perform asana because, no, but the point is, if you are not devotionally motivated, what's the point of increasing your efforts? And if you have reached bhakti, what's the point of doing tapasya? You already love, so you got it. You're arrived. So the meaning is practically is tapasya's restriction of the senses, and useful when you have a seed of bhakti, when you have a devotional motivation. So it's religious motivation. So religious, not religious, spiritual motivation. So if you have a spiritual motivation, the tapasya becomes a support. So we do tapasya so that we can perform devotional service. We don't get up in the morning because so that it is said the one you get up in the morning or you get oja, no, bodily luster. But we don't do for that. I mean, that's like we get it also. Devotees get oja, teja, power, but we don't do for that. We shouldn't do for that. We should do to offer Mangalarti to Kishore. It should be a devotional effort. So, my answer to your question, you should be introspective. You should see your motivation. Why am I doing this? And you should look at that. And it's a fact, like, as you said, you were talking about forgiveness. Yeah, as he said, for some people, something is more austere than the other. Like for some people, I know that because my wife, she's a great psychologist, she's an astrologer, and when people come to her, she analyzed them. And for some people, like for instance, some people work very hard naturally. For them, the austerity is to work less hard. For them, the path of growth is work less hard. Give time to your family, give time to your chanting, give time to relaxation, give time for your health. For somebody else, maybe the opposite. Maybe they're lazy, or they just like to lay back and relax. For them, maybe the austerity is to work hard. So it's very, what you call, relative to the person. What's the next step in growth? What's the austerity? Because for somebody, as Prabhu said, maybe taking cold shower, I don't know if anybody does that anymore. But anyway, Leaf at one point was a friend. Taking cold shower may not be much of an austerity, but treat people nice may be a major austerity. Major austerity. So I would say, as a general answer to your question, is look inside. You're already thinking that way anyway, because you asked the question how to be pure like that. So see your motivation, stop a minute, or why am I doing this? Am I really doing it for Guru and Krishna, for their satisfaction? Or am I doing for my prestige? Or it's a mixed thing? That, yeah, I'm doing for Guru and Krishna, but I also get some prestige on the way, so you have to see. You have to see, analyze, and analyze the consequences. If you do it for prestige, what happens is you'll get some prestige, maybe nobody noticed. That's also there. Especially if you get up at 2 o'clock, nobody's around, nobody knows. So, first of all, it's hard to get noticed. Second, if you are into your prestige, you will also suffer when your prestige is affected. Ragadvesha, the waves of desire and hatred. You may like to be respected, but when you're not respected, then you suffer. So you need to understand, not only in an ethical sense that, this is not good because it's not devotional, but also in a rational sense that, look, as soon as I have raga, I will also experience Vesha. You can't, it's like the two faces of the coin. You can't just have half a coin. You got the coin, you got two faces. So you got raga, you got Vesha. You want to say prestige, or then you get also humiliation, because that's the world. So analyze yourself and then see the consequences, and that should inspire you to keep a cool head. Okay, does it help? So we close here. Thank you for your attention, patience. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And if anybody today tries to merge the alphabet in the Omkara and the Bindu, let me know how it goes.